The multiverse was sick. At first, it began as a subtle quiver in the fabrics of reality, shifts in the alignment of stars, distortions in dimensional borders, faint echoes of energies too powerful to be natural. But to the rare few who could sense beyond the visible, the signs were not subtle at all. It was a herald. Something was stirring in the deepest chambers of creation. Something inevitable. Something final. In the unreachable heart of existence, past the source wall, beyond the reach of gods and mortals alike, stood Darkseid in his true form. He was not the dark figure mortals and heroes had fought on Apocalypse. Those were shadows, fragments of his essence wearing flesh as masks. This was the authentic Darkseid, his infinite self, a presence so immense that entire realities were but projections of his shadow. He was not merely a tyrant or a conqueror. He was tyranny itself. His existence was inevitability, the truth that all things, gods, men, even universes, must fall to him in time. Here his gaze stretched beyond infinity, perceiving the cosmic sea not as stars or galaxies, but as equations, possibilities, destinies waiting to be crushed beneath the weight of anti-life. His voice thundered through the void, not in sound, but in the marrow of creation itself. The multiverse bends, not by my hand. Another dares to rewrite destiny. The anti-life equation pulsed within him, the ultimate formula that stripped beings of free will and rendered them obedient husks. Darkseid was its master and its vessel. Yet now he felt a disturbance, a resistance, a force not of rebellion, but of raw definition. Where anti-life whispered certainty, another power shouted possibility. That power was molecule man Owen Reese. Far across the fabric of realities, in the cracked husk of a forgotten dimension, Owen stirred. His story was one of accident and tragedy, a man transformed into a cosmic paradox. Once frail, insecure, and mortal, he had been granted infinite control over the very building blocks of existence. Molecule Man was not merely powerful, he was the embodiment of creation's scaffolding, able to rearrange matter, energy, even abstract laws, with the ease of a child folding paper. For eons, he had been used by the Beyonders, by gods, by powers too vast to comprehend. A linchpin, a weapon, a curse, but now he was awake, fully awake. Owen rose from the fractured soil of his pocket reality, and with each step the ground reshaped itself according to his mood. Atoms bent, quarks aligned, and time itself stuttered in obedience. He muttered, his voice quivering with both bitterness and absolute power. I was their pawn, their bomb, their experiment, but not anymore. I am not their tool. I am the law beneath law. I am everything. And then he felt it, a presence pressing against him like a storm front swallowing the horizon. Cold, unyielding, inevitable. Darkseid's true form had noticed him. The clash began not with fists or beams of energy, but in the trembling structure of reality itself. Entire galaxies convulsed as the weight of two impossible beings acknowledged each other. In Marvel's continuum, abstract entities stirred uneasily, eternity, infinity, and the living tribunal, sensing Owen's power surging like a wound ready to split the cosmos apart. In DC's realms, the endless turned their faces toward the void, and even destiny paused at his book, for the script was smudged by something outside of fate. Darkseid's shadow bled into Owen's domain. Planets collapsed into silence as the true form's malice seeped through the cracks, his presence spreading like ink in water. Mortals across countless worlds felt a sudden, irrational despair. To them it was unexplained terror. To the gods it was recognition. Inevitability had arrived. Molecule Man did not cower. Instead, he reached into the fabric of his reality and rewrote it. The laws of physics rearranged themselves to insulate against Darkseid's approach. Space folded, matter reorganized, and energy sang to his command. Where Darkseid sought dominion, Owen countered with the raw authority to redefine what was. It was the collision of concepts as much as powers. Darkseid was inevitability, the end of choice, the master of anti-life. Owen was potential incarnate, the ability to reshape, reforge, and undo anything, perhaps even inevitability itself. Darkseid's essence extended further, his eyes burning with infinite fire. His declaration shook Owen's realm to its foundation. All that is, all that could be, belongs to me. Yield, little shard, or be broken beneath the truth of Darkseid. Owen's expression hardened, his voice calm yet defiant, carried not only through his world, but through the molecular lattice of existence itself. I am not a shard. I am not a fragment. I am the framework that holds everything together, and I do not yield. The storm had begun. The rift between inevitability and possibility tore wide. Darkseid's true form stepped forward, and with that single act entire universes dimmed. Not an avatar, not a projection. This was him, the infinite tyrant whose very shadow was apocalypse. His essence was a storm of anti-life, tendrils of suffocating despair stretching across the void, bending will and existence into silence. Molecule Man stood unflinching, though galaxies cracked under the pressure of Darkseid's presence. His body was slight, his demeanor human, yet every atom in creation leaned toward him as though he were its rightful master. He raised his hand and stars rearranged themselves, entire constellations rewriting their courses in obedience. Then the first strike. Darkseid's eyes ignited, omega beams bursting forth, not the narrow serpentine darts wielded by his avatars, but rivers of inevitability itself. They twisted across dimensions, burning through time and space, each beam an equation screaming, "You will cease, you will obey." Owen lifted a finger. The beams unraveled into harmless particles before reaching him, deconstructed to their most primitive quarks, dissolved into silence. He spoke softly, yet his words rippled louder than the tyrant's fire. "Energy, matter, law it is mine to weave. Your beams are threads in my loom." Darkseid's fury deepened. His true voice thundered. "No, they are destiny." The cosmos itself became their battlefield. Darkseid extended his will, and across countless planes free will withered. Whole civilizations dropped to their knees, chanting in unison to a name they had never known before, Darkseid. Their minds shackled, their existence rewritten to reflect his truth. Owen's retaliation was swift. With a gesture, he rewrote those bonds, restoring autonomy to the enslaved, tearing apart the chains of anti-life one molecule at a time. His power surged outward like a wave of raw possibility, undoing inevitability wherever it spread. The clash shook eternity. Darkseid raised his hand, and entire galaxies collapsed into singularities, each one hurled toward Owen as weapons. Molecule Man countered, unraveling the black holes into harmless bursts of stardust. Then, with a flick of thought, he turned the remnants into a storm of cosmic blades, each sharper than entropy itself, and sent them slicing toward the tyrant. Darkseid did not dodge. He let them strike his essence, and as they did, they shattered, absorbed by the absolute truth of his being. His form rippled, darkness spreading like oil across the void. "You cannot destroy what is inevitable," Darkseid intoned. "You fight not a man, but the end of all things." Owen clenched his fists, and the very concept of inevitability bent. For an instant, Darkseid's declaration fractured, his existence flickering, as though doubted by reality itself. Owen pressed harder, reshaping the laws that gave Darkseid's true form weight. "Even the end can be rewritten," Owen declared. "Even inevitability is a structure, and I am its master." The multiverse screamed. Then Darkseid advanced, not with beams, not with cosmic artillery, but with presence. His very existence expanded, crushing infinite possibilities under the suffocating weight of anti-life. Molecule Man strained, his hands glowing as he rewove the threads of creation to resist. Yet Darkseid pressed harder, every step a universal collapse, every word a hammer upon the framework of existence. "I am Darkseid," he roared. "The end of freedom, the end of hope. You are but potential, fragile and aimless. I am the only truth. Owen screamed, his human voice raw against the tide of eternity. He reached into himself, not into power, but into the core of what made him human. The weakness, the fragility, the fear that humanity had once made him vulnerable, but now it anchored him. Molecule Man seized that paradox, the finite controlling the infinite. He thrust his will forward, and reality itself sharpened into a blade. He drove it into Darkseid. The tyrant's form shuddered, cracks spreading through the shadow of inevitability. For the first time, the true form faltered, not destroyed, but wounded. Owen forced the wound wider, splitting inevitability with possibility, scattering shards of anti-life into the void. Darkseid staggered. His voice, though still thunderous, carried strain. You are strong, but you will not last. Owen's body trembled, his mortal frame burning under the strain of infinite exertion. Molecules writhed around him, threatening to collapse him into raw energy. But he stood firm. His words were a whisper, but they carried across every universe. Then I will last long enough. And with one final surge, he unwove Darkseid's presence from the battlefield, scattering the true form back into the abyss beyond the source. The multiverse fell silent, its trembling eased, but Owen collapsed, his body flickering with instability. He had won, not by brute strength, but by rewriting inevitability itself. Darkseid was not destroyed. Inevitability cannot be destroyed. But for now he was cast out, denied dominion. The battle was over. Molecule Man stood victorious. Yet across the abyss, in the unreachable dark beyond all things, a low chuckle reverberated. Darkseid's voice, faint but undying. I am inevitable.